Alexei Navalny has been killed in prison in Siberia, and I think it's fair to say at this point that he was, of course, killed by Vladimir Putin's state security forces. Vladimir Putin has tried to kill Navalny in the past. He tried in 2020 to kill him with Novichok, and I think he's probably doing this now because he's worried about the war in Ukraine continuing to stagnate. More Russian troops being sent to Ukraine, more sons of Russian men and women dying on the battlefields of Ukraine, and the greater likelihood of the Russian people en masse turning against him and demanding a new leader, possibly in the form of Navalny. And we've seen the unpopularity of the war in Ukraine among Russians. The most notable iteration of that was, of course, with the Wagner Group and Yevgeny Prigozhin, and Prigozhin getting killed by Putin, of course, in 2023, last year. And this, I think, signifies what Putin is. He's the classic cutout, is he not, of the paranoid dictator. It's a very banal form of evil, if you like, a very obvious form of evil, is what Vladimir Putin represents. And this is, I think, it's hardly surprising, is it? I think it's hardly surprising that he killed Navalny. I think it was very unlikely that Navalny was ever going to walk out of that jail as a free man while Putin was alive anyway. I think what a lot of us were hoping for, myself included, was that Putin would get assassinated at some point, and Navalny would be shuttled into his position, and there'd be a kind of a Russian revolution of sorts. But that doesn't appear to be happening. I don't quite know how good a move that was on the part of Putin to kill Navalny. I think it makes him look weak, personally. I think it makes him look weak and paranoid. I think he's worried about his own security, the security of his family, the security of his position in office, particularly. It falls, of course, on the Russian people to do something about Putin. By the Russian people, I don't just mean the Russian population. I mean specific people within Putin's own government, within his security services and so on, within his spy networks, within his military, to try and turn this situation around, to either sue for peace or to encourage him to desist in this futile war, or to otherwise uh, deal with him, dispense with him, eliminate him, should we say, very possibly. And you got like Sergei Lavrov, his number two in command. I guess that would be the person who would have the ear of Putin, right? This guy who's his sort of number two would probably have the most influence with Vladimir Putin directly, and I guess it somehow falls on him to negotiate Putin away from this folly of a Ukrainian war, which could, for all we know, develop into nuclear war between the West and Russia, which at this point in our technological history or in our economic history, at this point, we've this high point of achievement that we've come to find ourselves at in the West and internationally. We don't really want to lose that, I don't think, or no one really wants to lose that. And it's a mark of selfishness, backwards thinking, idiocy, reactionary, and no small degree of callousness on the part of Vladimir Putin that he's insisting on staying in office for as long as he has. Everything that fills his mind is like 100% the strongman persona, like likes of Joseph Stalin did, and he wants that style of politics to rule things, and that style of politics is that's has long been outdated, outmoded. It's become antiquated and irrelevant, really. People, even older people, Like they're not so impressed by that sort of thing anymore. I don't think quite so much, and we need tolerant, open, just, fair-minded individuals who I think Navalny represented, pursuing greater levels of socio-economic equality and greater levels of economic growth and all these sorts of things, greater levels of integration with world powers around them, and not being so isolationist, and not being so well, paranoid in their nationalism, and paranoid in their unnecessary fear of the West and so on. Up until recently, there was McDonald's in Russia. Up until a few years ago, there aren't anymore. Like, why can't we have this cohesion between different economic systems? Well, on our part, also, why can't we be giving Russia more aid? Why can't we be helping them redevelop their ruined cities in Siberia, for instance? This is, well, the reason for that is, as we know, corruption in Russia prevents us from doing that. And Putin squirrels all that away into his 600 billion US dollar war chest instead of giving it to his people like he rightly should. And those are the problems with Russia. As we see, we have this bizarre Scrooge McDuck dictator who has a hammerlock on power and will not give it up, a doomed war in Ukraine, which one way or another is doomed to ultimate failure, I suspect, almost certainly. If NATO gets involved, that is the de facto World War III situation. That could well develop into a nuclear conflict. And we don't know what proceeds from that. But I certainly don't see the Russians winning that war, ever. And I see, well, something has to give, and I think that the thing that has to give really is Vladimir Putin's control over Russia, and have to shuffle him away to somewhere in Siberia to die or get killed, frankly, and end this Ukrainian nonsense, and have free, open and fair elections, and get rid of the corruption in their own government. That's roughly speaking what needs to happen. I think that's what Navalny's supporters obviously wanted to happen, and certainly, I guess, still want to happen. That's what, well, good-hearted people around the world want for Russia. And Volodymyr Zelensky wants all those things for his own country, seems intent on delivering those via NATO membership and EU membership. And I see no reason why Russia couldn't become part of the EU one day, as long as they were to sort out their country. And, by the proxy of Russia, get Belarus into the EU, get rid of the horrifying regime of Lukashenko in Belarus, and end these dictators, and end these paranoid, ossified, creepy, totalitarian, thuggish, brutal, militaristic imbeciles who, with their hard man politics, want to apply the boot heel to every man, woman and child's face in their own countries, and do the same to other countries, it seems. So R.I.P. Alexei Navalny, you were a good egg, sir, and an egg that will surely be missed. Sorely be missed, and surely as well. Yeah, I did like Alexei Navalny. He was a brilliant man. Incredibly bright, incredibly brave beyond reason, almost. A fantastic human being. Intelligent, brave, wise, witty, fun. Would have made, the exact opposite of Vladimir Putin as the leader of Russia, I think. And yeah, would have been a great person to have seen in the highest seat of power in the Kremlin. But unfortunately, it was never going to happen. Or unfortunately, it wasn't to be the case that happened. R.I.P. Navalny, and good luck to all the Russians out there who supported you, who support your movement. I hope I hope that things turn out for the best for that country, as well as obviously for Ukraine. Thank you, bye. Love you lots.